Welcome to the Wise Immigrant podcast, where the voices of immigrants are heard and their stories shared. Today, we are thrilled to have a truly inspiring guest with us, Nydia Llangari. Nydia is not only a dedicated ICU nurse, but also an Ecuadorian-American immigrant who brings passion and energy to everything she does, including her love for Latin dancing. She's a member of several prestigious organizations, including the American Heart Association, American Association of Clinical Care Nurses, Emergency Nurses Association, American Nurses Association, Emergency Nurses Association, and the United Federation of Teachers. Beyond her professional commitments, Nydia is actively involved as a volunteer with the New York Roadrunners medical team and the New York City Emergency Management Response Team. She's also the founder of the Nydia STEMpowerment program and the Nydia Network. Welcome, Nydia. We are very happy to have you with us today at the Wise Immigrant podcast.
Hello, how are you? My name is Nydia Llangari, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Nydia, please, let's start from the beginning. You grew up with Ecuadorian immigrant parents. How was your childhood, and how growing up with immigrant parents influenced your childhood, your career, your personality, and your choices in your life?
So, like I was saying, they were very hardworking, and because they were very hardworking, that's the reason why I strongly agree that when you work hard, you can put your mind anything to it. And I'm very disciplined and committed to work whatever I am passionate about.
Mm-hmm. And tell me a little bit about the history of your parents, how they came to the United States, and how it was growing up with immigrant parents.
They came at a young age when they were 19 years old to this country. They were very new to this country. They didn't know any English.
Mm-hmm.
It was a struggle learning English and navigating the system of New York City. So, but within the struggles and challenge they face, they were able to basically overcome by having a community of immigrants of Ecuadorians. And that's how they were able to overcome by supporting each other.
Mm-hmm. Did your parents ever share with you any stories about the beginnings when they came and how they struggled?
Yes, they did. Like I said, they share stories about how English was not their first language and learning the English language was really a struggle. They
Mm-hmm.
do understand English. They had to manage both learning English by going to school and then balancing with work so they can pay bills, so they basically can support uh, 3 children. And for them, it was a struggle,
Mm-hmm.
balancing, basically managing time, like where work and life balance.
Yes. And you are a nurse, a registered nurse. How did you
Correct.
how did you decide to become a nurse?
I decided to become a registered nurse when I was a young adult. Basically, I was inspired to become a registered nurse because I felt like most of my family members were relying on me to speak as an English interpreter and Spanish interpreter. So basically, I had the special skill as a bilingual speaker. So because of that, and I remember when my family members were sick at the hospital, I would always be the one helping them translate, be like the liaison of the medical healthcare providers. And then I think I was inspired basically when my family members were very, very sick at that time. I felt like I needed to get to know more than healthcare system, and the way I can do so was by becoming a registered nurse. And I know that for a fact that I started by becoming a nurse assistant. So I won a scholarship it was a free course as a nurse assistant, and I fell in love nursing because at first I was a nurse aide. And after I became a nurse aide, I climbed the ladder by becoming a registered nurse. I went to Long Island University and I obtained my bachelor's degree in science. And then I learned while I was in school that less than 2% of Latinos are in the medical field as registered nurses. And I found that to be, I was like, wow, like I felt like I made a difference and I beat the statistics. And I was like, I didn't think that was pretty low, you know, and that's was me finding out when I was in nursing school. I don't know what the numbers are now today, but I'm pretty sure it's still low in the 5%. And so for me, it's probably an honor and privilege that I became a registered nurse because it's really, really hard to obtain your degree as a nurse in this country. It was a struggle and challenge while I was, you know, studying nursing. But however, I overcame it and I became the first member of my family to become a nurse. I inspired my other cousins to also become nurses. And I'm glad that I did that. So now we have like other cousins who are nurses as well. And I'm very proud to say that, yes.
That's amazing. So now when you guys meet together, you have similar topics to discuss over family holidays, yes?
Yes, that's correct.
That's fun. And you told me in the past that you just had a few years experience before the pandemic hit. And during the time, you were one of the nurses for the ICU, yes? You were one of the few trained for the ICU. Can you share a little bit about this story, how it was and how it influenced you, the whole situation, and what kind of changes it brought to your life?
Yes. So basically, I became a nurse in 2014. And as you can see, the pandemic occurred in 2020. And I was always a trained ICU nurse in the beginning of time. And I felt like my training background in critical care was very important because there was very few critical care nurses trained during the pandemic. When a pandemic occurred, I remember it was March 13th of 2020. That's when they declared there was this actual pandemic. For me, I was scared. And I was like, oh my gosh, now I have to utilize my critical care nursing skills, whatever I had been trained all these years. I was already prepared, but I didn't know all the training and preparation that I had was gonna lead me to actually teach other non-critical care nurses. During the pandemic, most of the nurses didn't know how to manage ventilators or they didn't know how to type. It seemed like to overcome that, and it made me a stronger person. I was able to basically develop my strong leadership skills. And I feel like now I'm emotionally, physically, and spiritually stronger because of that pandemic would occur. And just being in the uncertainty at that time led me to think quick on my feet during emergency situations.
How being an ICU nurse during the pandemic influenced your mental health?
So, like I said, as a critical care nurse, there was a lot of isolation going out, burnt out, depression, anxiety. Everybody was in a panic mode. So was I, because there was a lot of fear at that time, the fear of the unknown. And just knowing that like all the pressure and the burning was me, like basically I had the hands and the power to heal because I was one of the few trained critical care nurses. Led me to, you know, a struggle with depression and anxiety. And because of that, I seek out mental health therapists. I was able to reach them through Zoom at that time. and I was basically able to cope like that. And
Mhm.
for me, I feel like having a mental health therapist was very useful and helpful because
Mhm.
I was be able to talk out about my feelings, my emotions at that
Mhm.
time, because there was a lot of confusion at that time. So I felt like it was really, really helpful and useful. And this is the reason why I'm very passionate about Nydia's network, which
Mhm.
stands for New York's Diversity Immigrants Assistant, which I help New Yorkers and immigrants alike with their mental health by providing free resources by
Mhm.
my blog. And I
And
feel like when I spend, like I'm doing these blogs within the 5 boroughs of New York City, and I do want to spread statewide in New York, and
mhm.
hopefully I can spread across nationwide across the United States.
That's great. And you mentioned as well to me in the past that because of the pressure during the pandemic and the isolation that you faced, later on you found a healing and a way to get better by getting into dancing. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure, yes. So even though I did, get a chance to basically talk through my struggles and vent out my feelings through mental health therapists, I was able to express my emotions with my
Mhm.
body, which was dance. Dance for me was always part of my life when I was a young girl, when I was 7 years
Mm.
old. My mother would always enroll me into dance classes such as ballet and
Mm.
jazz. And because of that, I always had the love for dance. And then I decided to go back to dancing. And I guess because being a Latina, that's part of my genes and part of my blood. And I felt like, okay, let me go back to what I used to love doing. So that's
Mhm.
what I did. I became a dance performer, basically dancing in Latin, uh, New York City venues, and also not only just New York City, and now I dance across the United States. I go to dance congresses in
Mhm.
different cities such as Miami,
Mhm.
Houston, Chicago, LA, Washington, D.C. And I was able to actually form a dance community. I have a lot of friends through the dance community. And
Mhm.
also because my talent, which is dance, was because now I have the confidence to perform on stage. And now I empower through dance by teaching dance to the young generation, such as kids. One of
Mhm.
my proudest achievements was basically I used my talent dance and I was able to fundraise through a hip hop dance charity by teaching fundamentals to young kids about mental health awareness, and the proceeds goes to NAMI New York City.
Can you do hip hop as well?
Yes, I can do
Oh,
some hip hop as well. Yes.
and what do you think about adults and dancing? Um, Especially about people who never danced before. Do you
Mhm.
think that there are ways that we can encourage them as well to get into dancing? Because it's a social, it's a movement, and it's such a positive impact on our mental health and just being happy.
Yeah, so dance is pretty awesome because you
Mhm.
release natural chemical receptors, which are your happy chemical receptors. And
Yeah.
they're like natural receptors that your body develops it. And some of these happy receptors are found in some of the medications that we use to relief for depression or anxiety. Is actually producing in your own body. So I feel dance is very important because you develop this naturally, and then you naturally become
Mhm.
very happy, and all your emotions that was bottled up inside your body expresses through your body. And I feel having movement is very important because it's also an important form of exercise. You can also lose weight, while you're dancing. So these are all very important factors why I feel like dance is very important for people to dance. Even if they have never danced before, if you think you have two left feet, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
It's doable. You can be able to train. it's just like anything else. When you go to the gym, you just practice and practice the same thing all over again, the same movements, the same patterns. And once you master those fundamentals, then you can just be an amazing dancer.
Yes, actually, this is what happened to me because I'm really not musical. I'm really bad, really bad. But I read somewhere that you can teach yourself anything. So I thought, okay, let's try that. So I started to learn Argentinian tango because then you are a follower. You follow you follow your follower, and it's kind of like walking. So I started learning this, and I was becoming pretty good, and it was making me happy until the point where my teacher started to teach me to listen to the music and dance with the music. At that time, I said, okay, this is too advanced for me. I cannot get there. Just give me a good leader, and I'm going to follow, and I'm going to have fun.
Yes, sometimes you just need to start with basics, just
Yes,
simple basic
yes.
movements, patterns, and then you can, once you keep practicing the basics, then you can go with advanced moves.
Yes. And I think even with the basic, like you say, just being able to move and engage with this activity is already a happy place.
Correct. Yes.
And just not taking yourself too seriously in this. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And we recommend everyone sign up for dancing. Sign up with Nadia, just go find a studio. And interesting information is that just few weeks ago, I saw that there was a law that didn't allow people to dance in public places in New York City, and they lifted this ban. So we might see more people dancing around.
I see that, yes.
Dear Nadia, you are a participant in the Miss New York. You are one of the finalists. Can you tell us a little bit what motivates you to join the pageant and what are your goals for it?
So I am one of the participants for Miss New York USA, and I'm very happy to say that because of the restriction that was lifted, which is the age limit, I was able to be participant. And for me, it's an honor to do so because now basically I can represent in a more positive representation. I would like to represent the Ecuadorian community. And for me, that's very important. I feel the organization needs a good representation. I really feel proud that I am now part of this because I feel like it's very important to inspire young girls to use their voice and basically just dream, and whatever they put their dreams to, you can do so by basically making it happen.
How did you find it so far? What are the things that you learned?
Basically, what I learned is I already always had leadership skills. Like I told you during the pandemic, I already had the leadership skills, what made me a stronger leader. It just was able to just put everything together, being part of this, be able to manage and multitask with different initiatives I have, which is Nydia's Network, which I'm helping, New Yorkers with their mental health by blogging my free resources, and also another initiative called STEM Empowerment, where basically I am empowering young students to have access to STEM education and to promote better career opportunities. I love visiting schools. I love engaging and being a role model, being able to inspire them. And that's for me is something that I love to do, just to be able to lead on the legacy to the next generation.
And for those who doesn't know, can you explain what is STEM?
STEM. So like I told you, I am a nurse. So I am involved in the science and that career profession. And it basically means having education in science and math. And you can have any career profession that involves in the science and math. It could be also an engineer. It could be It could be something in technology, it could be an architect. It doesn't always just have to be a doctor or nurse, but it could be, or you could be an astronaut. You can dream to be one of that. Or you can dream, working behind the scenes, such as like lab work. And for me, or you can be a researcher.
Thank you for explaining that. We are here to educate our viewers, and it's important. Sometimes we use terms that are familiar to us, but they might not know. I know you were doing a fundraising for your participation in Miss New York. What are other ways that the community can support you?
Fundraising. The only fundraising I have done was basically for my mental health organization for NAMI in New York City, which I support for mental health awareness for New Yorkers. Like I said, I did a hip hop dance class and I used my talent to teach young kids. That was one of the fundraisers I did, and like I'm very proud of it. I was also be able to connect with a dance mom and she also struggled with the loss of her husband who committed suicide and depression. So for me, that was very, very honorable to have met her. She told me about her struggles and how her son witnessed his father commit suicide. And he is now using dance to actually, I guess, release emotions, to basically, because he's been going through depression and he's going through the loss of his father. So he's actually going through the grieving process. So dance is one of the coping mechanisms he's utilizing. And I'm just proud to say that I have able to connect somebody who's struggling with mental health and their family members through dance.
And how our community can support you for the upcoming Miss New York pageant? And can you tell us a little bit of the dates, what's going on, what stage you are at right now?
Yeah, so if everybody wants to support me, I am candidate number 93. You can vote for me. There's a voting system right now going on at this moment. And by clicking on the link in my bio, you can vote for me. And there is a $5 minimal vote. You can donate as much as you want, but all the proceeds go through mental health.
So do you choose the nonprofit organization or the Miss New York organization choose it?
Miss New York USA, they choose it.
They choose it.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful cause.
Yes.
So guys, we're going to add Nydia's contact information and how can you visit her page and vote for her. And I have Ecuadorian flag, and to all our Ecuadorian friends following Miss Immigrant and supporting us, please encourage you to vote for this lady, because this is amazing. It's not only that she's American Ecuadorian, but as well that just last year, for those who don't know, the whole Miss USA organization, they lifted the not a ban, but they lifted the age limit, and anyone above 28 years old can actually right now participate in this pageant and have the opportunity to take this journey of leadership, yes, and journey of making new friends and discovering yourself. So follow Nydia. And I have another question. You as well join Miss Immigrant as our delegate. What motivates you to do that?
Like I said, I just basically want to inspire young girls and the young generation to use their voice and to basically achieve the dreams that no matter what your background, your socioeconomic status, your age, you can do something that has not been done before.
Yes, I agree with you. So balancing a demanding career and preparing for the pageant, that's already a lot.
Yes, it's like having two full-time jobs.
Two full-time jobs, okay. What strategies do you use? And what advice would you give to other pursue their ambitious goals? How do you do it, basically?
The key thing is to remember time management. Once you know, once you have mastered time management, you can multitask and be able to handle two or more things at a time. And that's how I manage, by fitting everything in, by having a schedule, by having goals, short-term goals, long-term goals, having a to-do list, what is priority. By having priority list is also important, because then you can know, okay, should I go with task A or task B? Which one is gonna benefit me more? And but like I said, like prioritizing is very important. So key thing is to learn time management.
And do you have all your goals written down?
Yes, I do. I actually have a journal where I write all my goals. I've been having a journaling since I was a young girl. For me, that really helps me, because basically I'm able to express all my thoughts and emotions and feelings through my journal. Then I'm able to also focus on goals, what I want to work for this season, or within 3 months or 6 months, or for the year.
So what are Nadia's short-term goals? Let's say the next 1-2 years.
So within a year or two, one of my goals is to actually expand and grow my initiative, which is called Nydia's Network. I would like to help New Yorkers and other immigrants alike with their mental health by providing free resources where to seek the help of mental health. And I just not want to expand within the 5 boroughs of New York. I would like to expand and grow throughout New York State and also across the United States, because I'm already connecting with people outside of New York as we're speaking. So I feel that is one of my goals. This is like an urgent crisis that we're facing right now. A lot of people are struggling with mental health, and this is something that needs to be actually talked about, and basically we need to actually help them.
And how is Nadia's day? Tell us in short, what time do you get up? Do you have breakfast? What time do you start work? And anything else that you'd like to share?
Sure. So basically, Nydia's day, well, it actually starts like, let's say I have to work today, my 12-hour shift as a nurse. I will wake up 4 in the morning, basically have my breakfast, and by 4:45, I'm driving to the gym. I have to meet my trainer at 5 in the morning. From 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., I'm working out in the gym. So after that, between 6 to 7, I'm already driving to work. And by 7 a.m. sharp, I have to be on shift. So from 7 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., I am working as a nurse. And between lunch breaks, I'm having my lunch. I'm either talking to my mental health therapist, or I'm talking to my life coach. I'm doing that during my lunch break. Or I'm doing whatever business meeting I'm doing. That's what I do within the hour. Then after I come back from work, I want to decompress. So I visit my physical therapist, and he gives me like a nice adjustment to my alignment. And for me, that's very useful. And after that, I will basically go home and meditate and prayer. And just before I go to bedtime, before it's midnight, I will practice my French Duolingo, because that's my other goal. So I've been trying to be a French speaker. I'm trying to understand the French language. I've been learning French since I was high school, but now I feel like I need to actually have a conversation with French immigrants.
Can you say hello to our friends? I'm sorry, friends, our French listeners.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. And does Nadia find time for personal life, love, boyfriend?
So my personal life, like I said, I do have some hobbies, which is dance. Sometimes, depending on which day, I will go also to dance practice after work. So if in place of physical therapy, I would go to dance. So I would do like a dance practice rehearsal for an hour. And yes, I do have a personal life, meaning like family members that I
Mm-hmm.
spend time with. I actually spend time with them, on the days off, sometimes which is a Thursday or a Saturday, Sunday. I would spend time with them,
Mm-hmm.
family time with my mom and dad and brother. And I
Mm-hmm.
will actually, wherever we feel like we need to go, we can even just be at home, comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
and just having a normal conversation, which is
Mm-hmm.
very important to spend some family time.
And what do your parents think about you participating in New York and then joining Miss Immigrant?
So my mother was really proud. She said,
Mm-hmm.
well, if you're gonna do this, make sure you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you can handle this.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure she knows I can handle it because I handle even more severe cases such as the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so she just wants to make sure I'm just doing right. I'm able to just multitask and be
Mm-hmm.
able to be mentally and physically have a good well-being. Just
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that I'm eating right. She just want to make sure that I have the energy and I'm just happy what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Is your mom cooking for you some Ecuadorian food?
She does. When I do visit her home, I do taste her delicious Ecuadorian foods, such as ceviche, which is one of my favorite dishes of
Mm.
Ecuador, which is basically like a shrimp cocktail
Mm.
and marinated with tomatoes and cilantro and lemon, which I
Mm-hmm.
love that. And she knows that's one of my favorite dishes.
And what?
And
Mm-hmm. And what are other famous Ecuadorian food? And what in general is Ecuadorian food? Can you
okay,
tell
so
us
I
a bit?
can, yes, so there are other famous Ecuadorian foods. It's depending by regions because Ecuador is a
Mm.
small little country that borders between Colombia and Peru.
Mm-hmm.
So it has other famous ones like it's called like guatita, which means like the cow skin with rice.
Mm-hmm.
And it has other caldo de bola. It's like a soup. And then it has some like pork
Mm.
with rice, which is very uh, a typical dish of
Mm-hmm.
Ecuador. Even though that's a typical dish of Ecuador, I don't eat pork. I
Mm-hmm.
have restricted pork from my diet
Same
since
here.
I was young. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I said same here, no pork.
Yes, so I have pork restrictions. I've been restricting for more than 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have a famous typical dish called Guinea's pig. Basically, they roast a guinea pig and they eat that like if it's actual chicken.
Oh.
Yeah. And so those are some few Ecuadorian foods that I can
Mm-hmm.
think of. But yes, and like I said, the famous ceviche. It
Mm-hmm.
has a mix of seafood such as fish and shrimp and other seafood
What
in the
about the dessert?
cocktail.
What about the dessert? What is a famous Ecuadorian dessert?
Dessert. Okay, so
In Poland, we have cheesecake.
so there are desserts. It's that basically mean I haven't eaten a dessert in a long time from Ecuador, and I think it's because I'm trying to be very sugar free.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot
Same
have any
here.
desserts. Yes, so I,
High
but I know
five.
yes, they love a lot of candy. I know that like candy, like
Mm-hmm.
chocolate, and they're all good and everything, but I already have this diet restrictions where I'm sugar free. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure if you know this, but I was pre-diabetic in
No.
2019,
Oh.
which led me to more of my sugar free
Mm-hmm.
dietary plan. And this is why I so I know there's some of the desserts I can say is fruits. There's a lot of like exotic fruits like
Mm.
bananas, pineapples,
Mm-hmm.
and they have yes, like mangoes. I can say that. I haven't been in Ecuador since 2019, so I'm kind of like just pretty. I mean, I haven't been there because after the pandemic occurred, there was a big crisis in Ecuador. You know, with the pandemic, they also were struggling um, with the pandemic, and then after the pandemic, I heard there was a lot of like crime going on in Ecuador. So I didn't feel like it was safe for me to go. But I am planning to probably go this year or next year to Ecuador. I feel like 5 years is long overdue.
Yeah.
Yes, I just remember visiting my family in Guayaquil. That's where my family members are from. And I also went to visit the islands of Galapagos, which that's part of Ecuador. And I feel very proud that I achieved my bucket list by visiting the Galapagos Islands. It's beautiful. I'm gonna tell you, it's gorgeous. It's like no other destination in this world. It has all these exotic animals and food and the people, the diversity going on there. It's just amazing. And I was just mesmerized by the beauty of the nature in Galapagos Island. That's where Charles Darwin discovered one of his theory of the species. And other like science discoveries he had about animals, he was studying about the evolution. So I just wanted to educate the public about, you know, the Galapagos Island is very beautiful. That's part of Ecuador. And if they have the time to visit, because I know there's a lot of people who love to travel, try the Galapagos Islands. You won't regret it.
Yes. Your next trip, Galapagos Islands.
Yes, I'll visit it for the second time.
Yeah, Nadia, we got to the end of our interview, and I'm going to ask you one of the most important questions. What immigrant wisdom would you share with our fellow immigrants to empower them, inspire them, and make them to take action?
So one of my wisdom I would like to share the audience, especially with the immigrant community, is that the beauty of America is that you can achieve your American dreams. You can do so no matter your age, your background, your socioeconomic status. You can actually make it happen by taking action and having a plan and seeking out support. And by seeking support, you can make things happen and a dream come true.
Thank you. To all of our listeners, thank you so much. Nadia, thank you. It was a pleasure. We wish you good luck at the Miss New York. We're going to be following you, voting for you, cheering you up, because, you know, that's the most important, to know that you have people who are supporting you. It's so much fun to do it together. And we will see you more with Miss Immigrant Activity Pageant. But for now, thank you and have a beautiful day.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.